So my name is Ikram Niazi, and currently I'm working in a software company. And my background was Java and then PHP, and then I started working on .NET and currently doing Angular and a bit of React as well. So as we know, React was created by a software engineer at Facebook. And it is a JavaScript library which is fast and it is interactive to build UI for mobile and web apps. And you can put in at the background REST API or Node.js or any other API at the back, and which can feed in JSON, and it's the UI's job to make the app look nice and cool. So it's open source and it's component based front-end library, and the components can be reusable. So in a typical MVC architecture, React is the view which is responsible for the look and feel in the UI. So why you choose React is it's easy to create dynamic web apps and mobile apps, and it's high performance because of it's built on JavaScript, which is very fast, and it has reusable components. And the data flow is unidirectional in React, whereas in Angular, there's bidirectional data flow. So you can read write data two ways. Here it's just one way. And there's small learning curve. There are so many resources online, so you can learn on Udemy or you can learn on Microsoft platform and so many other like videos and tutorials on YouTube and on Google. And and it has some tools which you can load React and where you can do debugging and stuff. So I personally like Visual Studio Code, but some people like Atom and some other tools. So it's up to you to use any tool. So in React, as I said, it has a virtual DOM, so which is lightweight, and it's the representation of a real DOM in memory. And React manipulates that DOM, their real DOM, and it shows whatever nodes there it wants to change. Then at the time of loading the UI, it patches into the real DOM. And in Angular, it manipulates the real DOM. So manipulating the real DOM is a little bit slower than virtual. And when the state of the object changes, virtual DOM only changes that in the real DOM, So let's say it's a unidirectional, and it's kind of a tree hierarchy in React. So if you have root node here and another node here, which is, you can say, the navigation bar, and then there are some components in the navigation bar. If you wanted to change here in the nav bar and in one of the components in that, then these two will get changed in the virtual DOM only. And then when you load the UI, this is patched onto the real DOM. So you'll see in the inspect element what was the change in the real DOM and what's changed in the virtual DOM. So it's a single page application like Angular, React, Vue. So in traditional applications where you make a request to the web page and then the whole page you need to reload. So everything gets loaded. And then you click on some of the components here or here on the page, then the whole page needs to go to server and come back with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and images, which takes a lot of time. So in single page application like React, you only ask for only this component, only this get loaded, like here in the pink it shows, or you ask for something here in the yellow, only this gets loaded. So only you get maybe few bytes or kilobytes from database or server instead of the whole page, which is maybe in few MBs. So example here is like this whole page is of root component, and inside there are components like nav bar and sidebar, and the body is divided into two components. So so it depends what component you are asking for. So only that gets loaded. So that's the beauty of SPA, where you don't load the page quite often. So you only load whatever is required, and you build another layer of one component on top of that, like a pop-up, and you put in details, save, and that gets sent to server, and it is disappeared in front of you or hidden. And then you are back to the main root node, and then you do some other operations. It is fast in terms of when you put it on the server, your app is there and you see the difference of the bandwidth as well, because SPA consumes quite less bandwidth because you only asking for one particular component from the server instead of whole page. So it is quite cost saving as well. Like in a React page, which is divided into multiple components and each one having own property and function. And like here, like Instagram, the search bar is a component, and you have a description here, which is a component. And then there's a stories component there. And you have a list of posts, which is a component, and then single post is also a component. So the more you divide the app into components, it's easier to maintain and debug. So for each component, the building blocks of any React app is a component. So the single app uses multiple components like here. And it's kind of a piece of UI, and it is like a function that returns HTML element. So the UI is divided into independent reusable piece of components. Like if you add a new post, then it will come here straight away. You won't have to load the whole page. And same where the stories get updated here in this bar. So for each component in React, there is a state, and also it includes properties. So you can maintain the state of a component, like for the root component there, which includes the whole page. So you can maintain the state, like you can put in some variables or array, which is coming from a UI or something. And you can set the state, and then you can pass on the properties to other inner components here, like story or post list. And React currently, it is used by many big companies like Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Dropbox, New York Times, and many others. And nowadays, so many small companies as well. So that's it, a bit of introduction, and let's get started into a bit of demo. So I like Visual Studio Code, so I'll use that, and I'll try try and build through, this is PowerShell which I'm using. And from here, I will try and set up the React project. So to make your React working locally, as I said last time that in email that you would need npm. So you need to install npm. I hope you have done that. I sent a link in email. So after installation, you'll see that your npm is on this version. Maybe you have different one. And you also need Node.js. So after installation of Node, you'll see your version of Node is on this. And that's it. Yeah. So to create an app, let's say we are building an app of, as you all are developers, so maybe app to show a list of developers or something. So maybe call it npx and create React app. And this is a command to create a boilerplate React app. And then the name of the app, you can say like Ipip test devs. So when I create that, it will start creating packages and everything, and it will set up the app for us. So this will take maybe a couple of minutes to set up. So once that is done, so as we have Node installed, so it will be using Node.js, and for all the packages which it is getting, so it is getting through npm that we installed. So I'm on the 7.6 version. So there are a couple of ways to install dependencies and packages. One through npm, you can do like npm install and then package name, or you can do it through yarn add and package name, or you can start the app using yarn start. So I'll load my stuff on Visual Studio Code. So I'll do file open folder, and in here Ipip test devs. So this is the structure we get when we create a new app. So we have node modules, where we have all the node modules that we got in setting up the app, or if you want to add new node modules, it will get through here. And this is the public folder. When we'll deploy the app, we can set a folder like build folder or public folder or prod folder. So it will get deployed through here. And we have packages.json. So this tells us the name of the app, our version, and what are the dependencies, like this React version we are using, 17, React DOM version, and some other useful commands like start, build, test, eject commands are also there. So these all come in when we set up the app. And this is the file index.js. What it does, it will render the React DOM, and it will render the app. So what it does in the render, it gets the app function here and it replaces the root. So if you look at the public folder, this file will get deployed on production or wherever you want to deploy. So it has the name of the app, like title and stuff, and it has the root ID here. So our whole app will be replaced by this root div. So in app.js, like here, the ID is root. So if you go to app.js, index.js, it is getting the element by ID root, and it will render this app. So this app is here, app.js. What it is doing is it has the app function and it returns all of this div. So whatever div we are returning, this is the app. So, and this app will replaced here. And then onto the index.html in the root ID of div. So any file we create or any component we create, it is returning HTML with JavaScript, and then we can use that through name of the function or the class name. So if we have class, then we can extend it by different classes which are already there in React, and we can use other functions there in that particular class. So to start it, we will do yarn start. So this will open up a new browser, and it will give us a port number 3000, or we can also do it through our local IP as well. Whatever the local IP of my machine is, this 1192 something, and then 3000 port. So that's how our app looks like at the moment. So how it's doing this is, if we go to index.js, so this is asking for this app. And if you go to app.js, so here it's setting up the logo, which is the image which is moving. And if you go to app.css, so here is the CSS which adds the logo, and here it says the a tag learn React, and which is here. So what we can do now here is we can maybe change this app function to class. Let's say we can add a class app extends component, and we can put in constructor. To use the component of this extend class, we need to call, as we know, super. So this means we can access to the properties of this class. And we can say, like, there's a property there, state. So we can use that. And we can set this state to string hello devs. Okay, and this component has a constructor which we are using, and each component, as I said, like here, that it has a state and properties. So we are using the state here, and we have a function called render. So we can use that to render what we are doing here. So we can literally just copy paste this part here, and we don't need this. And here we can say learn React more. Just try this with class instead of just a function. So we open that. So yeah, we just added this, and the same thing is still loading okay by just converting this whole function to class. Okay, so we can do something like maybe get rid of this part, header, and we can put in here maybe p tag and this dot state dot string. So whatever we set the string here, it will be loaded. So we save it, and let's open that window on the side. Yeah, so as soon as we make changes here, it will be reflected here. So cannot read property of null reading string. Okay, so we are returning class name app, and then here we are doing this dot state dot string, and let's save it, and let's see the console, what's wrong there. So it couldn't get it. So it has to be small letter state, not big capital S. So if I load this, so we can see hello Ipip devs is written there, what we added as a state of this component. So now if I want to add a button, let's say change text, on the click of button, I can put in like to change the text, like this dot set state. So if we want to change the state, we need to pass in set state, and which will change state of component, whatever is there, like string or array or something. So here we can pass in what our state is string. So we can say hello devs. So save this. So when we save, our button come in here. So when I click on it, it changes that to different text. So this is how you change the state of a component. So now next is maybe we want to show an array. So let's say in the state, we don't want string, we wanna put in array like devs, and in the array, we can have name like Nawaz, and ID, let's say 1, and other names as well, like let's say 4 of them. Nawaz, Ikram, Mustafa, and who else is there? Zahid. Okay, so for maintaining, if you have arrays, React also need ID as well, just so that it can maintain. So every time we need to pass in a different ID. So when I put that here, so our state is gone. Yeah, so because we are not loading it here, so what we have to do is just get rid of this. And here we can load that array here. So we can do like this dot state dot devs. So this devs array is in the state. Then dot, there's a function map. So we can map like for each dev. Let's say there's h1 and the key is the dev.id that we added here, all of these IDs. And that's the h1. And in the middle, we can say, put in the name, dev.name. So when we save it, so we have names in h1, all the dev name that we added. So that's how you iterate through the array by using the map function. And we are showing the list of developers that we added in the state. Okay, so any question here? Everything going good?
Okay, so what is the difference in state and the properties?
Yeah, so I'll let you know in few minutes. We will do that. So the state is the function, is the variable there in the component. So each component has a state. You can pass in anything like a string or array or something, and then that that component, which is like we have a root app, and we'll create a couple of more components now. So you can do simply like here we have app. So you can pass in ID is equal to something. So this will pass in as a properties to another component. So we'll have to use props here. So with the props, we like, which is also called properties. So you will use it here, like props dot whatever, devs dot something. So it's passed from one component to another, like the way of you can say children, or you can say properties to another one, like where it is. Yeah, so this has children, this one, so you pass the properties here to here, and this access it through props. So it will use whatever the upper component is passing to the children component. Okay, we'll try and create maybe another component, and we'll pass in as properties, and we'll have an experiment. Okay, so this we are doing static array, and we are showing it here. So how about getting this through maybe an API? So there is an API there which provides us a list of data, which is a free API. We can try that. And let's see if I can make a call here. Okay. Okay. There are users. Okay. So when I pass in this /users, so it will give us an array of all the users there. It's just random data there with some phone number, website, and stuff. So we can use that in our app instead of this static array. So we can say simply like this devs, we just initialize it here. And then there is, for each component, there is a method component did mount. So it means when the component is mounted, this will run. So we can load that endpoint that we just fire here, and this will return us all of the users. So it will kind of like we have an API at the back, and we are connecting to that API. So in creating a new API, so we'll use same kind of thing, like to pass in the API endpoint and get the list of users. So we pass in this /users, and whenever that is done, then it should reply back response. And in the response, it will be like here, an array, it's a JSON here. So response.json, then it should load the users into the devs that we created. So users this dot, so we have to set the state like last time we set the state to string. So now we have an array, so we have to set state to devs, and these users which are here, which are the list of users that we asked for, all of these will be going into devs. So yeah, our brackets are closing okay. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that's okay. And in here, what we have to do is nothing. I think we are okay here. So I just save it now. So it got all of the users from that endpoint. So the first user is Leanne Graham, which is here, and second Irwin, which is here, and also we can add more as well. So these are all coming from this endpoint. So this looks good. So now we can add, maybe we were just playing in the main app.js. So let's try and add one more component. So let's say we have this list, like there was a list here in Instagram, like there's a list here, which is, this is a component, and inside each list, a single post is also a component. So maybe we can do something like this, like we can make a list which should be a component, and then each dev name can be a component. So we can pass the app root, our list, and then in list we pass in each component. So we can try and load this way. So for that, we can maybe create a new folder here called components, and inside that we'll have all our components here. Maybe we can say card list, and inside that we create a file card list component.jsx, and we can have a bit of CSS as well, cardlist.style.css. So, and we can have another one, we call it card, which can be each dev name, and the card list is the whole list here. So for first one, we can call it card.component.jsx, and its related CSS can be r.style.css. So maybe I'm making a mistake here. What I did. Maybe I click something and it's gone. I'll just close and start again. Oh yeah, I was here. So we added card component and card list component and JS as well. So in the first one, so let's say we have a name const card list, and here it has properties. And in here, we can maybe write something in the console, props, whatever will be passed to here. And we can import React from React. So we need the React component, and we can import also the CSS here as well. Dot card list dot styles dot CSS. So we can use the CSS which is here, and maybe we can do the same here in the card component. So this will be card.style, and here we can call it card. Okay, and okay here. So what we have to do here, like in the app.js, it was creating, it was fetching the users and showing it here, which was shown on the web here on the browser. So we can pass in the card here, like card list. So app should feed into the card list, and the card list will feed into the one particular card, like a dev. So here we can say card list, and we can maybe name it, I put in my name, let's say. And inside that, we can put in, we already have this array. Okay, and we close the card list here. So it is complaining. So because we haven't referenced that, yeah, so we need to reference that as well here. Import card list from component slash card list dot Okay. So now it's gone. So this looks okay. So now in the app main root component, we are passing in card list, and we are giving the name here, which is the name of the component. And inside that, we are passing this whole array that we have. So this will be kind of properties for this component. Whatever we pass in that, it will be the properties of this component. So this state will become a property of card list. So now we go back to card list, and in here, let's say we return here div and class name, maybe keep it empty for now. And we have this props here. So we can use that props dot children and props dot name. So when I save this and run yarn start, let's see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, it loads all of the devs through that API endpoint and also my name here. So in app.js, so we are passing in the card list component, and in the card list, we put in the name here and the array inside. So arrays pass as a children. So that's why it is like received here as properties.children, and my name, which was passed here in here, this is received as here as a properties.name. So that's how one component can pass the children to another component. So now we'll pass from the card list to card component, and then use, and we'll see how it looks there. And also maybe we can do a bit of style as well, like card list, because the CSS is nothing there. So we can have width, maybe 86, and margin and display as grid. And grid template column could be 1 fraction each, and grid gap can be maybe 20 pixel. So when I load it, nothing happens. So maybe we need to, because we are not using this class, so we need to use this class here, the CSS here. Okay, as you can see here now, it changes according to the CSS. So if we can see here, because we pass in this console.logs, so this loads the properties in the console. So if you look at the console here and load it, as we can see here, it logs in the console first this and also children, and each of the children, which you can see here as well, and with the properties and names. So that's how it looks. And so now we'll try and add something in the card so that each one of the tab name can be treated as a component. So we have nothing here in this component. So we can do like this should maybe return div with class name. We can maybe leave it empty for now. And in here, as it will, these properties will be fed into by card list component. So we'll use that properties here. So maybe in a p tag, we can say props dot dev dot, and here let's see what we can use. Like each dev has a name, email, address, username. So let's use the email here. Okay, and what else I'm missing? Why it's showing red? Yeah, maybe semicolon. And yeah, bracket, I think I'm missing. It should be the other bracket. So I need to pass that into here. And maybe I'll remove this and this. Yeah, now it looks good. Okay, so this card component will return a div with the properties which are fed into this card component. So if we go to card list component now, so what this will be doing is, so you have children and properties here. So what we're gonna do here is we'll remove this and we'll pass in, we'll iterate through here and pass into the card component. So like we have tabs here. So we'll do map, and in the map we can do card here. So the card component that we created, which can be utilized here. So we have a dev ID, and also dev can be used as dev here. So the property, the props we are passing into the card component will be named as dev we are passing. So it's showing red line here because it's not referenced here. So let's bring it here. Card component. Okay, so red line is gone. So from card list, we are passing in to the card component. And what about the app.js? This was doing like iterating through the array here, so we don't need it here because card list will iterate through the array here, doing the map. So what we have to do is we just need to pass in the devs in this. So we have to pass in as a properties to this component. So we don't need this part. And we can say the devs here and pass in the devs that will be returned from this URL. So they are here in the state, this dot state dot devs. So we save all. Looks good. So in the app, we call the card list and we feed into devs. So in the card list, we iterate through the devs and we call card component. As properties, we pass in each dev here. So we go to this and we put in the email only. So only email is shown there instead of names. So if we like, we can put in the name as well. So we can create another p tag, or we can put it here like name. So it's shown as name and the email. Okay, so maybe we need to beautify this little bit. So maybe add a CSS, maybe card container, and display flags, and direction we can say column, and background color we can say this one, and border solid gray, and border radius we can call it maybe 5px, and padding maybe 25px padding, so there will be some gap, and cursor we can say pointer, and on the we can add another component, another CSS, like what happens if you maybe hover. So it transform maybe scale bit bigger when you hover over. So each card will get bit bigger when you hover over that. Okay, so let's save it. Nothing, because we are not using the CSS. So we need to use it here. See how it looks. So it gets a bit bigger. We are transforming that here on a hover. This looks nice. So now maybe we can have a bit of transform here as well, because it's doing it so quick. Maybe to do it a bit slower. Transform, translate 0, and transition it to 0.25 second, and ease out. So I save it. So this is a bit slower now going out. Okay, so so we did a bit of dev list and the dev. So each one is like here, the whole thing is a component, and each one is a component as well. So the whole list is a component, and each card is a component as well. So let's say there's a nice website which is here. If you pass in a name like Nawaz, it will show you the face of a developer, like any random face, Ikram or something, or Zaid. So what we can do here is we can use this, and maybe we can use it here. So for each card, we can say like image dev, and in the source, we can pass in this URL. And in here, we can use maybe props.dev.name, and this should show up, and we just need to close image. Yeah. So, oh, nice. So this loads each of the dev's name and it loads the image through here. So they also have different kinds of sets. So maybe we can say set is equal to 1 and maybe size to 180 by 180. Yeah, so this is a bit smaller now. Okay, and instead of the name, maybe we can pass ID because we are getting ID here as well. Okay, so this looks nice. Okay, so what it's doing is nothing when you go on that. So maybe we can add an A tag here, like a href to, it should go somewhere when you click on it. And target can be, it should open up a blank page. Okay, and here A tag closes, and in the A tag, maybe we can put in the name here. Yeah. So when you click on the name, it will go to a different website. So the email, we can keep it showing under. So maybe like this name, maybe we search it, or maybe we search any name on Google, like my name. When I search on that, so how we are searching it, like google.com search *q is equal to name. Okay, so we can use this part and put it here. Okay, and in the query, we can pass in the name, like props.dev.name. So dev's name will go in here. So it's complaining a little bit because, yeah, we need to disable that here because it doesn't like the target here. So we need to disable this here, because if you do the lint of this project, which will look for any errors there. So we need to disable that. So we added this image, and also for each click on a name, it should go to this page in a new. So we just load it again. So as we can see here, like below, if I click on any one of them, it's going to Google. Like if I click here, it's going to Google. So it's opening up in a new page, like here. Okay, so we have this little app almost ready. So what we can do now is maybe we can put it on GitHub and we try and deploy. So I'll go to GitHub because it's not yet in the repository. So I'll sign in. Okay, so I'll create a new repository. Maybe name it same like Ipip test devs. Yes, devs and Ipip React demo. We create repository. That's created. So how we link our project, which is this one, to the repository we just created here on GitHub. So if we go to our repositories, nothing there, just startup stuff. So in PowerShell, we can go to our folder, which is this Ipip test dev, and in here we can do git. Make sure you have git installed. So if you have git installed, you can go to git and see the version and type in just git command. It's kind of same like SVN. It's a versioning control tool. So we go in here and do git init, and here we do git remote add origin and the name of the repository here. So the name will be this name. Okay, that's done, and we do git fetch to fetch whatever there just created, git pull. Okay, git status. Okay, so we have these components and app.js, which is there, which we can add. So git add dot, we can add whatever changes, we can stage that, and git commit -m, and maybe the comment will be initial commit. Okay, and then we can do git push origin master. So this will push our changes to GitHub, and yeah, so now we can refresh this. So we can see our initial commit has just pushed to our repository, which we just created. So inside we have source component, our card list and card component that we just created, and its code and everything there. Okay, so now how we can maybe add this to GitHub pages. So if we go to settings, that's the name, and these are some settings here. So yeah, we need to change this. Yeah, that's public, which is fine. If it is private, you need to make it public to make it work on GitHub pages. That's good. Okay. Okay, so to add it to GitHub pages, we can do yarn add pages. That's the command. So this will add the stuff to GitHub pages belong to this repository which we just created. Okay, so we can do yarn deploy. Command deploy not found. Okay. Okay, so in the package.json, we have start, build, test, eject. Maybe we can add here pre-deploy. So pre-deploy can be yarn build, and deploy, like we add the deploy command here, which it says error. command not found. So we can put the deploy command here. What it does should be GitHub pages build. Okay, so now we'll add the command yarn deploy. So it is deploying it now. So yarn deploy build, so it created this build folder. So, and it will have HTML and stuff. So whatever our project is, it just put that here and minified that into this build folder. So that's published here. And now we can do git add. So whatever that is, whatever new changes, maybe we can push it. Okay, and git commit, adding files to GitHub pages. So this commit message we can add. So that's done, and we can push origin master. This will push our stuff to GitHub. So let's refresh this. So our second commit is just adding files to GitHub pages, which is here. So now maybe we can go to, that's our repo name. And we can go to my repository .github.io/the repo name. So why it shows nothing? Failed to load. There's something wrong. Failed to load resource. The server respond error 404. Yeah, maybe there was something wrong. So maybe I'll do some changes here. Just push it through the client. Where's that app? Yeah. So you can use the tortoise git tool as well to push stuff instead of through command line. So just one file change here. You can see what's the change through this by double clicking. It's just this space I'm removing. Okay, so I'll push. Okay, so that's my changes that I added here. Just push there. Okay, so let's try that now. What's that? Yarn deploy. And then yarn add GitHub pages. Yarn add GitHub pages. So we can see also the settings. Maybe there's some settings we missed. So if we go to settings and GitHub pages, there should be a source branch. Check this out. It's saying GitHub pages. Okay, so my mouse struck. Yeah. Okay, so the source branch should be GitHub pages, which is good. Yeah. So your site is published at this, it's saying. So what I just added here is git add and previously I did git deploy. Okay. So now I open this. Yeah, this may be something, a setting which is not right, I think. So it's not publishing it here, it's not listening. Yeah, it's not getting it. So let's go to index and just maybe beautify this. So it has all of these chunks and stuff. Let's go to view source. Sorry, inspect. So let's open this. Yeah, for somehow it's not accessing it, maybe because we have something wrong in the settings. I'll try keep it master and save. So I'll do it again here. Yarn deploy and then yarn add GitHub pages. Okay, so I open this up again. Yeah, same thing. So it could be one of this source, or maybe I go down to settings again. We also have another deployment as well. So we'll try on the Google Fire as well to see how it's deployed there. If it doesn't work here, we have another one. So we have public, which is fine.
I'm just wondering, Ikram, if the static file you have, it might not be able to find the path. So is this CSS file where it is standing at this time?
Yeah, it's here. It's all minified here. So it should use it. I think it's maybe something to do with the settings on GitHub pages. So if I go to pages, so it is fine. So if I go here, yeah, there's something, it's not loading up because our repository is there, settings are all right.
Can you
Repository.
see this? This is bundled in repository, these statics.
Yeah, these are all like here in the build, it generated all of these and it has these files here.
Can you go to
Chunks.
the static folder there under
Yeah.
build? Yeah.
Yeah, it has the JavaScript and stuff. So.
And in the repository itself, in GitHub, does these files exist?
Yeah, so if we go here to source, where's that? It should be. Where's that repository? No, it should be here, but I think it's maybe ignoring it, isn't it?
Yeah. So maybe it's the build folder is ignored when you push it.
Yeah. but we are adding this here, you know, through yarn add GitHub pages. So it is sending it. Like here, it creates all of the chunks here when we do the yarn deploy. And in here, it should send it to GitHub pages when we do yarn.
We have a git ignore file.
Yeah.
See if the path is
Yeah.
not
Git ignore.
ignoring that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this build folder, you are going to ignore it.
We only have this in ignore file.
So you are ignoring build folder.
Oh yeah.
So
So
maybe you want to keep that. Yeah.
maybe try
No,
that.
no push that.
Yeah. So let's try. Yeah, and deploy. Yeah, it's not going, I think. Okay, so Jan add GitHub pages. And in the settings, let me see again, what's the source? Yeah, that's fine. So I go to this. Again, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's maybe there's something.
Can you see your build folder in GitHub? Is it is added or not in the repository?
Oh yeah, I haven't pushed it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, so I haven't pushed the stuff. Yeah, now it's there.
Then just push.
So I need to push all.
Mhm.
Pushing build. Okay. Should I push git ignore as well? No, I think.
Yeah, push whatever you have there.
Yeah, push everything. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's pushed. And
Local repository.
in here I refresh. Yeah. So our build folder is here. So now I try deploy. Okay, so now I'll reload. Cool. Same thing. Let me open it. Body. Yeah, it has all of these chunks and stuff.
Can you click on this one?
Yeah, but it's going in, you see, it's going into static, not in the build static, I think.
Ah, got it. So your URI Ipip test is ignored there. So that's
Yeah.
the name is ignored there. Got it.
Yeah, so Ipip test dev is ignored there. So maybe we can do something like in here we can put it and then it should work. Maybe when my mouse struck. Yeah. Yeah. So
This context name is something you're using here.
yeah, like
Not
here
using
it
that.
should be it's missing the folder test devs. So let's try that. And also here and maybe here. Okay, because
Your favorite icon.
no, I think these manifests are there already, isn't it? No, it should be okay. Yeah, favicon as well. Okay, so that's all. So now I don't need to deploy, just git add, because if I deploy it will
Mhm.
overwrite. Okay, so refresh, boom. Oh, I need to push it. Yeah, I need to push it. We haven't pushed stuff. Okay, added changes. Okay, my changes are added. Now get add. Yeah, in deployment, these kind of little things can take time. Yeah, maybe I'll try deploy to see what happens. This last try, and then we move on to Firebase.
Yeah, I think at least if you can run locally, that's totally is a separate task.
Okay, so I'll try this now.
So in locally, if you will give the same name, your context name. So instead of local host 400, whatever you're using, so
Yeah.
just use the full end-to-end path. So that's another option.
Okay. Let's run how it looks now. Maybe it's broken or something. Yeah, locally it's good. It's only here through here.
No, this is a path. So I think this is.
If I go to, still it's using this.
Yeah, so you need you remember you when you are going to localhost 3000 port, so you are not using any context item. So at that time, everything at your root directory.
Yeah.
And there you are, it's not in the root directory. So that's one thing is if you want to fix it. So in your local, you need to fix it. My context path is Ipip test dev something. So that's usually in your app configurations files.
I think let's give it maybe one more try, and then we move on to.
Just change in your whatever you have there in GitHub. Just change and index.html file there instead of changing here.
Or changing it there directly.
Yes.
Okay. So we have build. Yeah, that's also possible. Yeah, it's already there.
You injected that one. So
Yeah.
but there must be something else is missing.
Oh, I think now I got it. I think it should be dot here. I think this dot we have.
And put that in the other file in the GitHub and just test it. If it is working, then put the dot there.
Yeah, I'll just change it here because dot is missing, I think. And I push it now, adding dot.
I think for other developers, this is interesting one. Is you that's the actual learning.
Yeah.
How you're going to troubleshoot and how you're going to fix the problem.
Yeah. So now we are doing it again, and in here I refresh because we just pushed, so the dot is here. So that's deployed, and I'll refresh here. Oh, still there's something. Because here it's not getting it.
Yeah, when you build it. So can you just edit this HTML for 1 second and just put there?
I do it directly there, yeah.
Yes.
But here it's already added. See? Here dot is already there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And if you copy this the full path up there,
this path
no, in the GitHub,
in the GitHub.
yeah, and this index.html, what it is coming up?
Okay, you mean index.html is the same page, just empty. Yeah, it's the same page which is empty.
And now you can see which particular path is not coming up.
Yeah, so in here, maybe I'll hard refresh, empty cache and hard refresh.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So it's, see, we have a path here, but it's not
But
picking
you
it.
need you just push there, you didn't deploy it. So you remember when you just build it, at
Oh
that time.
yeah, we only did add, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to deploy. But if we deploy it here, it will create, where is that? Yeah, it will maybe override this. See, it does this. So now I refresh. Yeah, it's the same thing. So it's something to do with the path, I think. So if we just maybe manipulate it here, I just add the path here,
Yes.
just for a change. So I will have idea that it's this thing which is creating the problem. Okay, and what else? Here. And here. Okay, and what else? Yeah, it's manifest, not found. So
That is also under that one. So just update this.
yeah, so maybe
Line number 11.
yeah, yeah, we added everything, manifest and stuff. So let's try one more time. Let me push it here.
Can you edit something in directly in GitHub?
No,
Yeah.
nothing.
No.
Let's do yarn add. Okay, git push origin master. So okay, now yarn add GitHub pages. Okay, let's add it there. And this, so it should have the manifest file as well with the path, which is good. So now let's try. Okay, so I'll reload. Yeah, it's the same thing. Maybe it's not picking up that path correctly. Head section, you see it's not picking up correctly.
Yeah, these guys are saying just use a public URL.
Hmm?
So this is anyway. Let's not
Anyway,
take this one.
let's move it to Firebase. We'll see how it will go there. Okay, we'll fix this later. So it's a path issue.
Yeah.
So we can go to console dot maybe firebase.google.com. So here I'm logging with my user, and just make it a little bit down. You can go to console.firebase.google.com, and here I create a new project, maybe call it Ipip React, what our app called, test devs. Okay, and the benefit of this over GitHub Pages is just for static pages to upload and see, but for it will see like this on GitHub Pages when this thing works fine. So you get the same thing there. So for Firebase, you will have A/B testing, and you have database and lots of other things you can do. Okay, create project. So it will give us some settings. So we can put it here and use it in our project. So our project is ready. So we can do authentication, we have database, storage, we can keep our images and stuff. We can do hosting like ipip.ie or something. If you have a website, we can do hosting here. And it has functions which can run directly on cloud. Like on Azure, we have Azure functions, and some machine learning as well. And it has lots of analytics that we have in Google Analytics, funnel analytics, and lots of real-time data you can see as well once you properly configure. So if you go to project settings, that's the project we created. And permissions, app check. So let's make it bigger. We have this integration and cloud messaging. So in general, we have this thing. There's no app in your project yet. So if I click on this, also set up Firebase hosting for this app. Okay. .web.app. Okay. Okay. Yeah, for steps. Okay. Register app. Okay, so this gives us these configuration which we can use while deployment. So maybe we can keep it here for now. And here we can go to our project, and in our project we can add this library yarn add Firebase. So this will add Firebase to our project, and we'll get it here. That's the new library is added. So after this is added, we can create a folder here. Let's say Firebase. So yeah, Firebase library is added here, and we can create a file name called maybe firebase.js, and in that we can use the details that Firebase gave us. So our API key, auth domain, project ID, and all of that we just created there. So we can do import Firebase from Firebase app. So everything that's static, like everything in this, will be accessible via this variable. So now we can make this, let's say, just config, and here we can say with this variable that we created, Firebase dot initialize app, and we pass in these config, and then we do export default Firebase. So then this Firebase variable, like when we do export, it is available on other places in our app. So we can go in here, we can do something like we can import that we just created, like Firebase from Firebase, and in here, so it means that's available here in app. So now we can just save it, and we can do lots of things by doing this. Like you can have something like Google sign-in authentication as well, or you can do like we are not connecting to database at the moment, so you can do like Firebase dot database and ref, and you can set a name maybe to Ipip. So what this will do, it will write a set into the database, which you have it there, like this. If you have a DB there and you set it up, like create database, you set it up, you will have the key and everything. So then you can write it through here and get it. So this is also a way. So we can just ignore it for now. And you can do Google authentication, like when you have a web page, you have a sign up, sign in. stuff. So you can do something like sign in as a Google. So these are all the providers. So you can go in and turn enable. So this way you can use it here and then utilize it within your app. So you'll see the usage here, like how many people are joining through Google Authentication and stuff. So you don't have to create a OAuth backend. Firebase manage everything for you. Okay, so we added all of this, and now we just need to do a bit of Firebase stuff to deploy it. So we need Firebase tools. For installation purposes, and we need to do authentication through the terminal here, and then we can do initialization, and then we can deploy and see how it works. I remember there's also same kind of problem that we have on GitHub pages, like the path problem. So we may have this path problem here as well, but we'll see how it looks. So let's try to add, yeah, it's added. So I'll make this bigger. Yeah, and make this bigger. So now we try Firebase login. This should open up browser, or it's already logged in. Okay, so Firebase projects list. It should show list of projects. Yeah, so we have this React Ipip test dev. So we can do Firebase init. And in here, it will ask lots of questions. So are you ready to proceed? Yes. And what you want to configure, maybe storage, hosting, real-time DB. So we have to configure hosting. You click space, enter, and use existing project. So we need to select this Ipip test dev. Do you want to use your public as a directory? Like we have here build and public. So yeah, we can say use the same public as a build directory. Configure as a single page app. So we already have stuff in our project. So we'll say no, we don't want your configuration. Set up automatic build and deploy with GitHub. So if we say yes, then we have to pass all of the GitHub details. So whenever you push into your repository, it will do some pipeline stuff and deploy onto Firebase. So we don't want to do that at the moment. And file, it will be overwritten on this, which is like public index.html. Let's see what's that. So it has this stuff at the moment. So don't overwrite that. Okay, so that's done. So we'll see how it looks. So in that, it looks like it is using this public URL and then this /logo /manifest and stuff, but it has no static folder. It's not using it. So we need to give him, we need to feed that build folder instead of this public. So we need to proceed. Hosting, and it should be build folder, not public. No. Setup automatic build. No. Override. No. Okay. So it will use this one here. Okay. So this we set up according to GitHub pages. We made some changes here. So maybe we need to remove this if it doesn't like. Okay. So now we can do yarn build prod. So this will do the prod build. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so it added stuff in the build section. And let me make it format. So it has removed the stuff that we added, like the project name. So yeah, let's see how it looks now. So we'll do Firebase deploy. Okay, so it's doing the deployment. So these 20 files are added. So in here, if you go to project overview, it says it's just deployed a minute ago. Okay, so if you go to the firebase.json, so it has these stuff that it's doing. So maybe we can add maybe rewrite rule here to so that it should listen to all of the stuff there that we are passing, and the destination should be index.html. Okay, so I save all and do Firebase deploy. Okay, so it's saying our hosting URL is this. So let's go to this URL. I hope it should work okay this time. Oh, good. So it looks good on Firebase, but not on GitHub pages, because there was something there related to path which doesn't like it. So here it looks okay through this, but if we go to GitHub pages, it doesn't like it. Even the path and stuff is same like Firebase. So in Firebase, we're using the same path and stuff. And in the head as well. Okay, so Nawaz bhai, you are there? So any question regarding that? So we covered some introduction to React, and we created a sample app. I explained about app.js, how this app component is used, and then how we created the cardless component, and then the whole list is a component, and then each dev is a component as well, like here. And we added some CSS, and we tried on GitHub. We created repository there, and like here, our repository on GitHub. We tried to connect on GitHub pages, but unfortunately, for some reason, there's some path issue. But we tried setting up on Firebase, and it looks good. So our app is live on this path. So if you open this on your URL, it should work fine if you try this. Yeah, that's it. So any question, if you have, you can type in or you can ask, or anything you wanted for another session. I can note it down and we can do another session if you like. And or you can email us if you go to ipip.ie, and then there's the email section, you can email us. So any question? Nawaz, were you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
You Aslam.
No question at the moment. It was really very good and it's very beneficial because I have never used the React before. So I was never worked on it before. So that's a really good idea. So is it possible we can start a new project or some kind of this stuff in the next session, or maybe we can build a proper one more system, which can be used in Ipip as well?
Yeah, well, you mean any new app you want to build?
Yes.
What kind of app? Is it e-commerce or what you like?
So any kind of good idea, because I haven't discussed about this one because I tried to discuss with Nawaz Bhai actually, because he has very good ideas about this stuff.
Yeah, well, like here we created one simple app which was trying to connect to a UI, the API, and then we are using that API which was here to get the users. So maybe we can have a backend on Node.js, and then backend is running side by side as another project, and we can create something in the database on the cloud like Cosmos or MongoDB, and then we can get whatever from NoSQL DB to that API. And then in the UI, we can use that API instead of this one here. So in this way, we'll have a backend and a front end. Then for that case, we'll need to do two deployments, like one for our backend, which will be on Node.js, and one for this one, which is the front end, because React only looks after the front end. So we can have something like maybe maybe e-commerce app or any other app you can build. And then you can play around with components. You can create as many components you like we created just 2 of them here. And you can communicate with components by passing as a props to another component. And this way you can build, but there's a lot of things we can discuss here. Like there's Redux, there's Flux, there's unit testing, and React Router, React Native, So there are so many things in React. So we only covered just few stuff there. Just the basic app, component, communication between components, and deployments on GitHub and Firebase. So Firebase deployment looks good. So you can have like a database created here, and then you can connect to that DB, or you can do Google Authentication login here. And you can do lots of stuff, like your CDN can be here. You can deploy your app to your own URL, and Azure functions you can do. Like once you call that function, this function then does so many things for you on the DB. You don't have to do anything. So there are lots of things you can do. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, like what we can do in the next session, you can email us. That I sent email to all of the guys about this session. So you can reply on that, and we'll collect all of the ideas, and we can set up another session. And we can maybe cover other things like React router or native React, and some other things as well instead of this. Okay, so any other question? Take it as no. Okay, so thank you very much all for coming, and we'll have this recording available as well on our Ipip website. So I'll stop the recording now.